I must begin today with acknowledging the untimely death of the wonderful public servant and longtime Pima County Supervisor, Richard Elías, whom I counted as a friend and a mentor. His death on Saturday was most unexpected and has hit people very hard, I know. Well, it's hit me hard anyway. Um, there's a story behind this cartoon, which seems relatively straightforward, but for anyone who, oh, did we lose that slide, Larry?
Yep, we've got it back now.
Thanks. For anyone who didn't haunt the Board of Supervisors meetings for the last few years the way I've been haunting them, at the beginning of every meeting they have roll call, and Richard would always answer when his name was called. He would answer presente. And one time, about a year and a half ago, someone challenged him, one of Ali Millard's comedians who delighted in reprimanding the board pretty much every week or every meeting, got up and said, you can't just say presente. English is the official language of Arizona and you have to use English. So Richard very graciously started saying, presente, I am present. Next slide, please. So in loving memory of Richard Elías, I would like to ask us all to observe just a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Now this cartoon from Fitz at the Daily Star, for those who, like me, have little or no Spanish, I had to look it up, but what he's saying is hugs, and there's Cesar Chavez saying, yes, we can. It's a beautiful representation, and I wanted to tell another story about Richard. He was one who supported and encouraged me in running for this office from the beginning. Back in September of last year, the only people I had really talked to about it were a couple of close friends who I blame for instigating me into doing this in the first place, and of course my partner, who was initially extremely negative about the idea, and then for some unknown reason one day she changed her mind completely and she said, Steve, you know, I think this is the right next thing for you to do. So with her blessing, I went and I spoke with Allison Jones, the chair of Pima County Democratic Party, and Allison encouraged me strongly. She said that she had been hearing for years from groups, especially down in Green Valley, that they really needed to run a good Democratic candidate in District 4. So Allison was thrilled that I think that anyone would step forward. It didn't really matter who it was, but I don't know, I'm perhaps selling myself a little short, but Allison was very encouraging, and she's been extremely helpful. And one more story about Richard. So I had met with him several times throughout the fall, and he was always, Larry, we lost that slide again.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, there we go.
There it is. Richard was always very supportive, very helpful. He told me a lot of things. He vetted me. He said, do you really know what you're getting into? And I'm sure I didn't. I'm sure I still don't. I'm learning more every day about what's entailed. But after a few of these meetings, one day last December, I think it was, I called him up I phoned him and he answered the phone, "Supervisor." And I said, "Richard, don't you think that's a little premature?" And he said, "Well, it sounds good, doesn't it?" So that was Richard, and I miss him terribly. I'm sure I will continue to miss him, but I take his example as the inspiration for this campaign. I can't hope to fill his shoes the way he filled them, but I really take his service, his attitude of uncompromising principle, of always speaking his mind, uh, as the really the essence of public service with honesty, with integrity, and with a whole heart. In fact, speaking of heart, if you want to read more about him, I highly recommend the tribute that was written by Blake Morlock for the Sentinel, published over the weekend online at TucsonSentinel.com, entitled, I think it's entitled "He Brought the Heart Until It Gave Out." It's a beautiful tribute.